Good morning. Good morning to all of you in the room, to all of you online. We are very pleased to have you here at this session, the Hub of Hub, Knowledge Platform for Peace. This is a session co-convened by the African Minister Council on Water and DHI. And my name is Louise Hegard. I work as a partnerships and funding mobilization expert at DHI, and if you wonder what this thing is, you may have seen it. There are a lot of ladies, especially ladies, wearing this around the World Water Week. It's a symbol of the Women in Water Diplomacy Network, which was born out of the Nile Basin and Siwi. And there's also a few men who are wearing this. I hope that you see them too, champions of this network. We are here today we have a little different setup, as you can see. This is the third day of World Water Week. I'm sure you had lots of impressions and lots of presentations. And today we will not have any presentations. We will be having a discussion. We will have some inputs. You will hear from 3 countries, and you will hear from 2 technical experts about what's this knowledge hub. The Hub of Hubs. But we want to have a dialogue. This is why we've set this meeting room up as a fishbowl. And I'll get back to that in a minute, what that is. And we will have a lot of digital fish with us on the screen, because this part in the middle, this is the fishbowl, if you can imagine that. And so we will have our digital fish also here. So the aim of today's session is really about having a dialogue about data and information and knowledge platforms, and how, especially for the African continent, the African Union has a commitment for information and knowledge management, which was made many years ago, and that AMCOW is implementing with this Hub of Hub. It already exists, and you'll hear more about it in just a moment. And what we want to leverage it, to strengthen it for breaching borders, for having knowledge on water in one place, and somewhere a go-to platform where you can see, especially in the African continent, what's the status of the waters and all kinds of waters. So I'm very pleased, first of all, to invite Dr. Tahini Silet, who are the chair of the Technical Advisory Committee of AMCOW, to please say some welcoming remarks. Welcome, Tahini. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for inviting me to speak. And yes, I am also honored to be one of the women in water diplomacy. My dear friends and colleagues, good morning. I'm very happy that you have responded to the call of participating in this important event. So distinguished participants, esteemed colleagues and partners in water and sanitation, I'm honored and privileged to welcome you to the significant session focused on AMCOW's Knowledge Management Initiative. At the heart of AMCOW's Knowledge Management Strategy 2017 is the vision to build a knowledge hub of hubs, a dynamic platform where knowledge is created, shared, and applied for the benefit of all. This initiative aligns seamlessly with our commitments to providing essential knowledge services to our member states, African organizations, and professionals dedicated to water-related services. Knowledge is not a resource, but the core of AMCOW's political leadership, policy direction, and advocacy efforts. Across the continent, water and sanitation specialists look to AMCOW's ministerial authority to elevate water and sanitation as a critical cross-cutting issues that drive economic development. Our role is to promote the uptake and application of research, address water and sanitation challenges, and facilitate joint learning among researchers, planners, managers, and users in the water sector. To meet these needs, we recognize the necessity of a strengthened AMCOW structure capable of delivering the right knowledge services to the right people at the right time and in the right location. Our journey began with the belief that the AMCOW Secretariat would be the platform driving our knowledge services to reinforce this capacity, and we recruited a dedicated knowledge management officer to implement our strategy and establish an online hub accessible to all stakeholders seeking relevant information. Our vision continued. We extended our efforts to build partnerships with member states and relevant organizations, nurturing a network where indigenous knowledge can be created, shared, and utilized. The goal is to develop a platform, virtual and physical, that encourages collaboration, networking, and learning among all AMCOW stakeholders, accelerating development across Africa through the water sector. In 2020, we achieved a significant milestone with the launch of the web-based portal AMCOW Knowledge Hub. And by 2021, we started actively building partnership with development partners and mandated by our General Assembly to engage all generating institutions in 2022. We took a critical step forward by mobilizing member states to nominate focal persons to lead the knowledge work at the national level. While these nominees are experts in their fields, we aim to train them to become knowledge services professionals in water and sanitation. This year, we started a knowledge management audit to gauge member states' knowledge management status and determine the support they require to deliver knowledge activities. Today's session is not just an opportunity to reflect our progress, but a call to action. We must raise awareness about this long-term goal and strengthen the partnerships to help us achieve it. The new UN Strategy 2023 strongly emphasizes inspiring action and building knowledge. The Africa Development Bank's knowledge management strategy calls for strengthening knowledge systems at national levels and building knowledge partnerships. We hope this effort will bring us together further to address this collective responsibility of mobilizing our member states and civil society organizations, as well as development partners, academia, and faith-based organizations. The idea is to inspire them to take necessary action on water, create knowledge from their experience, and share this knowledge for the benefit of all. Since the African Union's Heads of States committed in Sharm el-Sheikh to enhance information and knowledge management at all levels, we have desired to become water-wise, to improve the quality of decisions, and to accelerate water and sanitation achievements across Africa. Today, we gather to share experience, learn from each other, and recommit ourselves to building a knowledge hub of hubs. With joint efforts, we can turn our vision into reality and ensure that knowledge remains the driving force behind Africa's water and sanitation successes and the milestone in achieving the SDGs, especially SDG 6 on water, as well as the post-2025 Africa Water Vision and the Africa Union Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tahini. And with no further ado, we'll go directly to the next speaker because you heard about him. His name is, well, you didn't get his name, but he is the knowledge management expert at AMCOW. And so Ubina, Anna, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me the space to speak. Sorry, I joined you late. I was having a bit of issues with my computer, so I had to join with my phone. So welcome to all our partners, and then thank you to TAC Chair AMCOW, Madam Tahani, for opening the meeting for us. I'm supposed to be talking about the vision of AMCOW's Knowledge Hub of Hubs. Yeah, my TAC chair has been able to give us an elaborate background, but just to highlight a few issues, I want to let us know that AMCOW's knowledge management AMCOW's effort for a knowledge hub of hubs is ingrained in its knowledge management strategy 2017. So the whole idea was for AMCOW to become a knowledge hub by bringing people together, bringing organizations together, serve as a knowledge broker, and put together tools that can enable it to provide these services. Like the TAC chair said, professionals all over the continent look up to AMCOW for relevant information, decisions from ministers responsible for water and sanitation, and also heads of state decisions cascaded down from the African Union Commission to us as the premier water and sanitation leading institution in the continent under the African Union. So it became very expedient for AMCOW to be able to set up that central knowledge hub where everyone can find information. And this hub is just not only an online platform, it's also about what we do physically. Most of you that are in the call will understand that AMCOW has two very big events that host once at least every 2 years. We have the Africa Water Week and we have the Africa Sun Conference. These conferences are also knowledge activities that are geared towards bringing professionals together, bringing stakeholders together to engage with one another. The approach works as a system to connect also other knowledge hubs further and to coordinate learning and exchange of knowledge among stakeholders. Because we are looking forward to building an Africa that is wise when it comes to issues about water. Because you cannot do what you don't know. So the vision is for us at AMCOW to make sure that the right information is brought to the right persons or right organizations at the right time and in the right manner. And this we do by working closely with partners to build external knowledge resources and also to bring together the knowledge that AMCOW is generating through its work across the continent. If you look at the continent, you will see that there are a lot of water-related institutions across Africa, apart from the member states where we have ministries responsible for water and sanitation. We also have river and lake basin organizations. We have other regional institutions like economic communities. And all these institutions have their hands on issues around water and sanitation, among other development efforts. So we feel that knowledge sharing and knowledge co-creation is one string that can bring everyone together and also help everyone to achieve those common goals enshrined in most of our decisions, most of our policy documents. Like the TAC chair had mentioned, the African Union Agenda 2063, the Africa Water Vision, which are documents that guide the work that we do. And then we also have decisions from the heads of states and also that of ministers responsible for water. Like earlier mentioned, the TAC chair has established that as far back as 2008, heads of states at the Sharm el-Sheikh convened under the African Union, and they decided to strengthen information and knowledge management at all levels so that capacities of people working in the sector can be built and they'll be able to deliver the services that are expected of them. So all these are some of the things that have laid the foundation for AMCOW to see that it builds a knowledge hub of hubs. A hub of hubs in the sense that it becomes a hub for knowledge and at the same time connects to other hubs that have been created by other institutions. So that through that stream of linkages and network, we would have enough collaboration, we would have enough partnership to see that everyone is able to share knowledge. We'll build a knowledge velocity such that what one knows in one country, another can easily know in another country just by connecting to this network. And then we'll all be able to achieve the goals that have been set for Africa. I think this is a bit of a background in addition to what we have heard from the TAC chair, and I would like to hand over the mic to the moderator to continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Obina. And moving on from Obina's intervention, as I said earlier, we will have 3 representatives from 3 member countries of the African Union, and it will be first South Africa, then Senegal, and then at the end, Democratic Republic of Congo. And after that, we will have a short intervention also from the World Bank, the knowledge management expert at the World Bank, and then 2 short interventions from the technical platforms. And then we will have this fishbowl discussion. Now we're not that many people, and I can just mention quickly that the fishbowl conversation is 5 people sitting here. Or I think 1 chair should be empty for virtual fish. And then all of you outside the circle will be listening in, and we will listen to the conversations of your experiences of knowledge hubs, because knowledge and information hubs are everywhere. There's a lot of information out there. It's a jungle sometimes. How do we find the right information? For what purpose? And which information drives to action? This is what we want in the end. So I'm very pleased to now introduce, well, I will ask Motitidis Mokele from South Africa, if you could please introduce yourself and then let us know in about 5 minutes the work you do with knowledge management strategy in the Department of Water in South Africa. Thank you. The floor is yours. Is she there? She may not be there yet.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, thank you so much, Louise, for the platform. Yes, my name is Mukhtari Mokele from Department of Water and Sanitation, the Ministry of Water and Sanitation in South Africa. I am the Director Knowledge Management in the department. Here in the department as Water and Sanitation, we have developed a strategy for water and sanitation for the sector. And the strategy caters for not only the ministry, but every institution sectors that are within the country. In terms of our strategy, we regard our strategy as a tool that can assist government to improve service delivery. Because we believe that if we are able to move from data and information sharing, that we now progress towards information and knowledge sharing, because we are busy sharing the data and information.
Recording in progress.
What we are lacking is to come to a point of sharing the know-how. So we developed a strategy in terms of now embarking on sharing the know-how so that we can be able to progress together. So our strategy is more looking at 5 focus areas where it's about the knowledge culture and the knowledge sharing platforms, and as well as we are facing a generational shift whereby our engineers and scientists are exiting the corporate because of age. Now, how do we transfer the knowledge that they have acquired over the years to the young generation? So the strategy is looking at that in terms of mentoring and programs of mentoring and coaching for the youngsters. And also when we move, we're looking at the point of moving now to a point of sharing the data and the information. When we share the knowledge now, that's more you bring the issue of efficiency, because as we share the knowledge in terms of having the hubs where we share knowledge, that's where now you would have all the researchers coming from different institutions being grouped in one place and on one repository for everybody to be able to access that information. And as I indicated, to say this will assist us to move to a point of how do we now achieve our 2030 SDG 6 targets, because with the knowledge that we're sharing as to how best we have done in this country, moving to another one, then we stop reinventing the wheel, but we work over whatever that is already available from the work that has been done by other researchers, by other institutions, in terms of trying to solve the water and sanitation challenges that we're facing. Recently, we had developed the strategy for eutrophication management in the country. And what we did after developing that strategy, we shared the strategy with other institutions, and we organized the webinar whereby we now elaborate on the implementation plan of that strategy. And we had other partners, other countries also participating, so that we're able to learn from one another. And that is the most important thing about knowledge sharing, so that others can be able to see how best South Africa have done it, and then they go into their country, as well as implementing so that they can just customize it, how it can fit their country. We are currently facing challenges in terms of acid mine drainage. So country by country has different challenges. But if you look at it, how we can be able to resolve challenges, the other model that has been used in another country can be able to assist another country. That's why now we come to the issue of a hub of hubs, whereby as AMCOW will become that central repository for all the member states, so that when in my system I update information, I share the knowledge, automatically it appears on the hub of hubs, and that will save researchers times, so that they don't need to go to different platforms, but they can go to one platform and have access to information for all the member state of our continent. So that will assist us a lot in terms of ensuring that we move along with developments within our sectors. And the strategy that we have developed here in the country, also we are looking at the issue of the tested knowledge, because it's one knowledge that most of the time it leaves the corporate without being captured, and that could assist us so that we don't start from the scratch on things, but we look at how it was done before and how can we improve on top of that. So we capture the tested knowledge and then we store it into the system, so that even the new incumbents, when they come, they don't struggle in terms of finding their feet as they join the organization. Then they know how the system works, how do you deal with certain functions, what do you need to do for you to progress. Either you are doing water resource classification, you will get information on the system so that it helps you now to move forward on your development. That is mainly about the strategy for South Africa, getting information to the right people at the right time in the right context, so that we improve the efficiency within our country as we implement water and sanitation solutions for the country. That is the experiences and the strategy that we have employed in our country. Thank you so much, Louise.
Thank you so much, Titi. Information at the right time, at the right place, to the right people. That's exactly what we are talking about. Yes. Thank you. I will welcome now Ms. Marianne Jeanne Senghor from Senegal to make a small, short intervention from the work you do in Senegal on the pôle eau, so the water pôle. I don't know how to translate that, but I'm sure you have a good name for that. So please, Marie-Jeanne, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you very well. We cannot see you though.
I think I've just activated my...
Now we can see you too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for inviting me and inviting the Pôle Eau Dakar. Yes, it's called Pôle Eau Dakar in French, but you can say also Dakar Water Hub in English. So my name is Marie-Jeanne Senghor. So I'm the technical assistant of the Pôle Dakar, which is an initiative that is being implemented within the Ministry of Water and Sanitation in Senegal. So this initiative has been launched during the World Water Forum in Dakar. So the main objective or the main mission of this initiative is to promote the hydro diplomacy, and with a focus on concerted, integrated, and responsible and mutually supportive governance of water resource to foster peace and shared prosperity. So in our mission, we are trying to showcase good practices and success story in terms of governing water in a peaceful way. Water could be a matter of conflicts, but also water could be a drive of peace. So in our way of promoting this objective, we have a different type of intervention. One of the first of our intervention is focusing on supporting practical conflict prevention, cooperation, and peace building initiative within the basin organization in Senegal, like the Senegal River Basin Organization or the Gambia Basin Organization. So we are working closely with them to support relevant initiative in terms of practical conflict prevention and cooperation. We are also working closely with the scientific community in terms of producing knowledge for decision makers. In the Pôle Dakar, we have a network of stakeholders, mainly composed of universities in Senegal and beyond, that are closely working to produce a different report to produce knowledge on water-related matters in our region. We're also working in building stakeholder capacities and cooperation framework in conflict prevention and management and hydro diplomacy for concerted development and peace. So in our work, we have developed a 10-year strategic plan from 2023 to 2032. The strategic plan is being structured around 5 strategic areas, and among them, all about water knowledge and production of water knowledge is one of the key strategic area of our strategy. We also have in the strategy 28 area of action, and it is also a 2 5-year phases. In our work also, we have produced a relevant document, as I said earlier, for the improvement of water knowledge in the region. So we have produced an atlas on of the main scientific water issues of the region in West and Central Africa. We have also produced a report on the emerging issues on water, on shared water resource in Africa. And one of our main projects that we are currently implementing is the Water Resource Center. And for this project, we are closely working with a couple of partners that are helping us to implement, to set up this center. So the main objective of this center is to facilitate the knowledge sharing between actors. As you may know, there are a lot of documents, a lot of information, a lot of knowledge that are being produced by different actors, but we struggle to have an instrument that could help to facilitate the sharing of this information. So the Water Resource Center is being now implemented. So it's being now developed. So we have already done the diagnostic phase in terms of the legal framework, all about the financial aspect, all about the needs and the supply and the demand in within the water and sanitation sector. So we have also done a technical report that shows all the technical aspect that the center will be need to be implemented. And in terms of technical aspect, we have done also a couple of recommendations to be done to facilitate the center to be efficient. So the water center will be let's say a multi-format or multi-stakeholder resource portal within which there will be a couple of features. So we have some feature that will be dedicated to all about geospatial data. We will be having also a special portal that will be dedicated to knowledge, all the courses related to water. As you may know, there are a lot of MOOC or a lot of online courses on water-related stuff, but they are not really accessible to some student or some academic actors. So this water center will be dealing with most of the let's say issues that we are facing currently in terms of sharing knowledge. So we hope that when it will be implemented, it will be really efficient, and it could be useful to take into account our main challenge in water resource management. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Marie-Jeanne. And it's very exciting to hear about the Water Resources Center in Senegal. This would be part of a hub of course, as the instrument. And as also Marie-Jeanne said about information to researchers and decision makers, also very much this hub will have an intention to inform financiers about where can water investments be done, what this will help inform decisions on what countries or basins where they want to invest. Now the next speaker, I think we are making an exception to our rule about not having any PowerPoint presentations. So I think Dr. Raphael Temanga from the Congo Basin Water Resources Research Center, I believe you have a few slides that you will share with us. So please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Alois, for giving me this opportunity. Actually, it's not a PowerPoint presentation, but just a slide that can attract people attention to what I'm talking about, the Congo Basin. This is a very important river basin in the world. But it's actually being neglected in terms of knowledge. So the Congo Basin is the second largest basin in the world after the Amazon, and it actually includes 9 countries. It provides a lot of opportunities for water resource development in terms of hydropower, in terms of navigation to connect different riparian countries, in terms of irrigated agriculture, to achieve the objective of food security, not only in the region of Central Africa, but also in Africa. Okay, also in terms of the aquatic biodiversity, because the Congo Basin river basin sustain out of, aquatic biodiversity, endemic biodiversity, and it plays also a huge role in terms of climate change, because now actually currently it's established that, the water, that rainfall that is being supplied to countries such as Ethiopia, Egypt, and other northern countries comes from the Congo Basin. So we need really to invest in terms of information about the Congo Basin. So when you compare the Congo Basin, the two major river basins in the world, we compare the Congo Basin, the Amazon Basin, in terms of information availability. We see that really the Congo Basin is critically lacking behind, you know. So in such conditions, it's very difficult to embark into, sustainable management strategies to conserve or to protect the Congo Basin, but also to provide access to water resources services that are actually available in the Congo Basin. So meantime, the Congo Basin is actually facing a lot of challenges in terms of impact. We talk about deforestation. We talk about water pollution from mining activities. We talk about the rapid urbanization that actually also transforming the catchment and so on. And these issues, when we are talking about them, they are very different from what actually is happening, for instance, in Europe, in Western countries. And really, we need to have a system thinking approach to water resource management in the Congo Basin. How then do we go it? And this is where we came up with this tool, which we call Congo Basin Catchment Information System, which provide information at catchment scale, at the scale of management, and what is needed at that scale of management. So we need information to provide access to water resource services, to fight against pollution, to fight against deforestation, to fight against to maintain the aquatic biodiversity at the catchment level. And this is our approach to catchment information system in the Congo Basin. So how then did we proceed? Then we went to what you call catchment classification. So we had a partition of and definition of catchment units using some multi-level criteria, such as using the topographic gradient to define the first level of catchment units. And the second level was defined using the socioeconomic system. So we involved socioeconomic system in the definition of our catchment, such as urban areas, mining areas, agricultural land, and so on. So those areas of interest were included separately, distinctly in the definition of catchment. And the third level was about using the concept of hydronym. And this is how we can link the human need to the management of our rivers. So with this, we identified around 1,740 catchments, which actually contain, the national level catchment, but also transboundary catchment, because we are working in the Congo Basin. So this is actually a transboundary river basin that contains almost 9 countries. So we have also this transboundary catchment that have been identified. And furthermore, we identified then thematic areas and type of information that are actually useful for decision making, for developing strategies of water resource management at the river basin level. And so the thematic areas actually we defined, we do have 7 thematic areas. The first is about this administrative management or administrative organization based on the country levels. And then the second thematic area is about the climate information. The third is about the physiographic characteristics. The fourth is about the hydrology. The fifth information, the information, the thematic area is about the water uses. And then here we see different water uses that are available within the Congo Basin. We do have water used for hydropower, water used for navigation, water used for biodiversity, water used for people, water used for agriculture, and so on. And then we have to define the information need for this different type of water use. And then we do also have risks, the thematic area on risks such as flooding and pollution and so on. So this is actually the information we identified and other source of information. So all these thematic area have been identified, and then we do have almost 128 attributes, the type of information that have been generated to feed into this system. And this system is actually accessible online. It's being used by scientists, by investors, by policymakers. For instance, someone who would like to go and to invest in hydropower in the Democratic Republic of Congo can access this information and have baseline information to guide his investment in the basin and so on. So, and we are now currently working with AMCOW, to connect this catchment information knowledge management hub to the the African water hub that is being implemented by AMCOW. Thank you very much for listening. But also we are using this information to train people and to train students and also other professionals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tismanga. Now we didn't see your slide. Now we'd like to see it. Is it possible from the technical side? Oh, we cannot hear you. Wow. We see it. The Congo Basin Catchment Information System, a very clear example of what this session is about. We'll leave it.
This is the whole system of information. We are collecting data from the feed, updating our system of information, but also through modeling exercise, we are providing new information to the system. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Raphael. And then we'll go to the World Bank, and I'm very pleased to invite David Gray to say a few words about World Bank's knowledge management and information strategies and programs. David, the floor is yours.
Good morning, Louise. Hope you can hear me.
Yes, we hear you well, and we see you too.
Greetings from a very early morning in Washington. Welcome everyone. I'm the Knowledge and Learning Coordinator for the Water Global Practice in the World Bank. I've been at this business for a while, as you can probably guess, and I'm rarely been more excited than I am today to learn more about this Hub of Hubs proposal from AMCOW. And I want to thank them for the invitation this morning. It really is a remarkable initiative, and it's very, very timely. I mean, as you know, we're facing a huge and growing set of challenges in the sector, in Africa and around the world, but also an amazing set of opportunities. You only need to listen to our friend from the Congo to see the massive advances that have been made in the last few years in every country in Africa. Every time I talk to different agencies, I'm blown away by what is now possible in the countries of Africa. And so what has been missing is really this connection between the countries, between these people with the right attitude, with the right tools, with the right interests to work together to pull in the right direction for Africa. And I think that the time is now. And we're also in a very good opportunity that the technology to allow us to connect is now there and tested, and it works. And the connectivity is now there and it works. So this is a great time, and we must grab this opportunity. I've been in this business long enough to recognize that there have been many failures over the years in this kind of initiative. And we have to make sure that we learn the lessons from those. I've been involved in several of those failures, and I've hopefully learned lessons from them as well. Sometimes we would just try to do things too soon before the pieces were in place. But now I think they are. one of the main takeaways, and I want to share this with the audience here for consideration, is there's two things I want to leave on the table right now. And that is that much as we can do amazing things with resource libraries and so on, the secret sauce, the secret to success here is connecting people. We've learned that lesson over the years. I've been working in knowledge management now for 30 plus years. We all start building resource libraries, but what really makes a difference is connecting people. So whatever this hub of hubs does, it must connect people. And the other thing I would say is prioritization. I think the number is there's 400 million terabytes of data produced every day in the world. 400 terabytes per day. It's all fire hosed at us. It's available to us at the click of a button. We have to prioritize what we do and what we access and all of these good things. And how do we prioritize? We prioritize by solving the needs of real people. And that means we have to ask real people what they want us to do. And that has sometimes been missing in the past, right? We are wonderfully well-meaning agencies and we have a lot of capacity, but we bring an agenda. Everyone brings an agenda. But now we need to ask people what they actually need. We've been doing an experiment in the last 12 months with a platform called Open Social. It's the platform which was pioneered by UNDP out of New York, and the EU also use it. It's developed by a company in Amsterdam. It's not, I imagine it's not completely unique, but it does allow you to do the kind of things we just talked about, to connect people and to connect resources and so on. And the takeaway from that platform has reinforced my view. It is about people. Once we've been connecting water utilities around Africa through training courses and online communities, and the amazing ability for people to solve their own problems is the takeaway from the whole exercise. I'll give you a quick example. We had somebody from Angola posted a question about prepaid metering. And within 6 hours, 18 countries had responded with detailed responses on their experience with prepaid metering into a discussion thread. And you go, we just sat back and watched. And you go, this is astonishing. Imagine if we did this for everybody's problems, if everybody posted their issues and their peers came on board and solved those problems. So this piece must be front and center. The real problems and human beings. Human beings can solve each other's problems. The water sector is in some way a little bit unique in that many of the kind of institutions we are dealing with are trying to do the same thing. They're trying to provide water and sanitation services to their populations, and they're typically using the same technologies, the same vocabulary, the same benchmarking indicators. Almost everything is common, and people are at different levels of achieving their goals, but they're aspiring to be in the same place. Now that's an amazing thing because it gives a common language across the whole continent and beyond, by the way. Singapore, everywhere else has done the same thing. So it's an amazing opportunity to connect people around the world and around Africa to solve each other's problems. And I hope that the Hub of Hubs takes that on board. And if it does, it will succeed. And then I hope also it convenes all of us around the table to make it work. One of the nice things about the Hub of Hubs, which really inspires me, is that it's not trying to be the only hub, okay? It acknowledges that many other things will exist, and bringing them on board under a broad canvas, inclusively, that is definitely the way to go. And it will produce results. And I think 5 years from now, it will produce astonishing results. It will change the way how, for example, the donor community works in a country. Because basically we'll have prioritized set of objectives which have been worked out across the continent for how one moves things forward. This will change development if it's done properly. And please, let's do it properly. So, Louise, I'm going to pass back to you. I know we have a fishbowl coming up, but certainly these are my thoughts right now. This is an amazing time, an amazing opportunity. Let's grab it. Thank you. Back to you, Louise.
Thank you so much, David. And thank you for your engagement and conviction of this, that we all are convicted this is the right time, and connecting people, bridging borders. This is what it's all about. Peer-to-peer learning and prioritization. Now for you in the audience who are very technical, you might want to have some interventions on what is this hub of hub, how is it done really. And I'm very pleased to have with us Schwab Afgebua from Codecraft. Please, the floor is yours. Will you tell us how you have contributed to setting up the hub of AMCOW? Thank you. Is Schwab there?
Yeah.
Yes, we hear you and we see you. Welcome.
Hi, thank you very much for this invite. And I also want to compliment like the previous speakers, the tech chair and the representative from South Africa and Congo, Senegal, and the one back as well. I don't want to delve more into like why the Knowledge Hub. I think a lot of those have been addressed. I'm just going to give like an update on what we're doing and what we have been working with AMCOW. A few years ago, we started working with AMCOW to actualize their vision of launching a digital platform that will enhance like water knowledge management and knowledge sharing on the African continent. Basically, we started building a system that will allow AMCOW to store, manage, and retrieve knowledge effectively. The core idea was to link hubs within African region and globally to a central location where partners and stakeholders could access this information and collaborate with each other as well. In doing that, we try to build like very good search functionalities to make it easier to find relevant information within the hub, and to also like link users to thousands of resources across other libraries. Currently, we are like integrating more data sources from all countries within the African continent and beyond. Just last week, we did integration with the British Geological Society with over like 9,000 resources related to water and water as well. Basically, we're trying to establish this digital database of research papers, policy documents and reports, and also best practice guides, and make them accessible to everyone to act easily, to act like a one-stop platform that people can access relevant information. We're trying to reduce the fragmentation. There are a lot of water resources out there. We're trying to build a central resource that will link these resources together as well, and also allow people to share information as well. We're currently also indexing like documents and knowledge by country. So we're trying to index like reports that relates to a particular country by date and by subject areas, just as the representative from Congo Basin just talked about as well. We are hugely leveraging like artificial intelligence and machine learning to enhance like smarter search capabilities, and also create a sort of a very effective recommendation system. For example, one of the things we're doing is to build in like text-to-speech capabilities, like to enhance user experience and engagement. Not everyone spends so much time reading. So we're converting a lot of these resources, especially the reports and the document resources. We're converting them to speech. So you can listen to this speech using AI algorithm as well. So this will enable people with, individuals with visual impairments and reading disabilities and other challenges to access, written content, and also make informed decision in terms of to be more inclusive within the entire system. Another recent development that we worked on with AMCOW regards the knowledge of is what is called like the sector database. So think about the sector database as a comprehensive water and sanitation database of water and sanitation service providers across Africa. So the aim is to empower the sector players to connect and to collaborate, and that will be launching when the final version of the Knowledge Hub is ready as well. We are also like collecting case studies of about water and sanitation, that focus on understanding the challenges, the strategies and outcomes that relates to management and distribution and even quality of water and sanitation service as well. We also building the system in a way that it can be replicated across the various partner state and AMCOW, so that this could serve as information sources to the central repository as well. The other thing we're working on is to provide a lot of support for offline capabilities. If you travel across Africa, one of the challenges is access to internet. Majority of people across many countries don't have access to internet services. So we are trying to optimize the system to at least support very low connectivity and also make provision for offline capabilities as we go ahead. I do understand this is not a very technical session, so I'm trying to limit a lot of technicalities that within my talk. But this is the scope of what we're working on. It's still work in progress. I believe before the next major water event, Obina and AMCOW team will do a presentation of how the system would work and what other provision that this will provide as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rob. I'm going also to invite my colleague Henrik Larsen to give an example of also a platform developed together with AMCOW, and it's the WASMO platform. Henrik, if you would like to join me in the fishbowl, and there's a microphone for you right there. The floor is yours.
Thank you. And I don't know if any of you knows WASMO, but since 2017, AMCOW has had an online platform for water and sanitation sector monitoring and reporting, in short, WASMO. And as team leader of the establishment of WASMO, I had the pleasure of developing this, and I can say with great conviction that WASMO, I think, is the embodiment of the hub of hubs concept here. WASMO, as I mentioned, is an online platform designed and developed from scratch only to serve AMCOW's needs, and it allows all countries in Africa to report data on indicators for the water sector defined by AMCOW. And currently, AMCOW collects data on around 75 indicators under various thematic headings such as financing, water supply and sanitation, water infrastructure, management of water resources, climate change and disaster risk reduction, governance and institutions, and capacity building. Only authorized persons can enter data into the system, but anyone with an internet access can actually go and watch the data and check their country's performance, compare with other countries. So I think this makes WASMO a very transparent tool for comparison across countries. Networks of water professionals in each country constitute 55 hubs across Africa that collaborate on collecting and analyzing key data for progress in the water sector at national level. And these hubs at national level, they report to another hub, AMCOW, who then becomes the hub of hubs in this setup. A key purpose of WASMO is to document and make available joint knowledge and contribute to cross-country learning and experiences in the water sector issues, and to hold water sector decision makers accountable for their political promises. I believe that WASMO could and should become a cornerstone of the hub of hubs that we're discussing here. It has demonstrated outreach potential with around 40 countries over the years participating and contributing to building a repository and a portal for knowledge on water across Africa. It began as a tool to monitor the Sharm el-Sheikh commitments that was mentioned by some of our previous speakers back in 2008 from the head of states to have reports every second year on the progress on water sector developments in Africa. And it includes all relevant SDG, water-related SDGs when those came into being in 2015. But over the years, WASMO has been expanded to also cover the Ngor Declaration commitments on sanitation. And currently, we're expanding WASMO yet again to cover also the African Investment Program, the AIP scorecard indicators in the system. And we learned that one of the success factors of WASMO has been the engagement of national level focal points, the hubs in the countries. So just setting up a web-based tool is not enough. Involving and capacitating stakeholders at local level and national level is the key to success here. And therefore, I hope that when we get the hub of hubs up and running, we will also see real engagement and interaction with the stakeholders at national level. And without it, we won't get flesh on the bones, and we will not see the success that Africa deserves on this. So with this, I just encourage, if you don't know it, you can go to AMCOW's website and search for WASMO. You can see for yourselves what is in there. But I think it's a great example of what we are contemplating with the hub of hubs here, as I see it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Henrik. And please stay in this fishbowl. And I'll just give the last word to Ubina before we go into discussion. And I'm sure you have questions also. Ubina, I know that you have had an audit with some of the member state countries about their knowledge management hubs. If you could just briefly tell us the results of the audit. Thank you. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you once again. Okay, for us at the Secretariat, we are trying to take issues about this initiative one step at a time. At the stage where we are right now, we are trying to do at a bigger scale what we did in the beginning. We had initially launched a knowledge management survey after launching the Knowledge Hub. We launched a survey to know the kind of resources that AMCOW stakeholders want to see on a Knowledge Hub. And that survey was done in 2022 with a support from the USAID project, WALIS. But then at this stage where we are, just in line with what most of the speakers have said, David mentioned something that it is not about the online platform alone. It's about connecting people. And then you can see that Henrik has re-emphasized that. So that's the understanding that we have at the back of our heads, that we must connect people. So in 2022 also, AMCOW launched an initiative that called for all ministers responsible for water to nominate focal points for knowledge management. So now we've nominated the focal points, and the next, we're supposed to be training, building their capacities, strengthening national systems for knowledge and all that. But we don't just want to jump into that. We decided to launch a knowledge audit. Now, the idea of the knowledge audit was to gauge the status of countries when it comes to knowledge, knowing that issues around knowledge management, information and knowledge management are still new to certain people, at least at the point of appreciating it or prioritizing it. So we developed a set of questions, put together a questionnaire, and shared to member states. We have shared to all our member states, and so far we have received from about 11 countries. I just want to give you a highlight of the kind of inputs that we're trying to get from the member states. We were trying to understand the kind of knowledge management infrastructure that member states have. We're asking them the kind of information that they produce or knowledge that they produce, what formats they are, and how they produce them. Then we're also looking at the knowledge capturing and documentation processes, because sometimes some people do knowledge management without actually knowing that that's what they are doing. So now, to put things in perspective, we have put together this question. So what's your knowledge capturing and documentation process? How do you do it at the ministry where you work? And then how do you share knowledge to the people that require this knowledge after you've collected from those who have it? So just like South Africa shared with us, she talked about tacit knowledge. We know that tacit knowledge is there in the mind of the experts, and we are looking for how to pull them out. So we have these 11 countries answer to these questions. And then how do you use knowledge? It's one thing to have knowledge, it's another thing to use it. David also earlier talked about finding out from the people what they really need. That is one of the reasons why a lot of knowledge has been ignored. Most times we have created knowledge around what is not needed. Like Henrik said, the WASMO platform for AMCOW is what helps us to generate data of the state of water and sanitation in Africa. And this is used to report back to the heads of state through the Ministerial Council and the African Union Commission on what is happening in water and sanitation in Africa, so that they can put together more evidence-based decisions that will help us to achieve the goals ahead. So now we want to know, how is this knowledge used when they have been created? And then countries have been able to respond to all this. We're putting together our report, and we know that this report is going to be an interesting guide that would help us to take forward the work that we're doing once we are done with it. So I want to also use this opportunity, before I hand over to Luis, to implore everyone that is on this platform right now. Let's promote issues around data, information, and knowledge, especially in this complete chain of data, information, and knowledge, because many times we gather a lot of data, a lot of information, but they end up not being interpreted. And when it's not interpreted into stories or usable nuggets that people can understand and use, you find out that we keep on reinventing the wheel. We remain where we are. A lot of money is being pumped, but we don't see as much value as we thought we were going to see. It's because the aspect of knowledge is being ignored. And I believe that by the end of this session, we would have pushed forward a little more to make people become more aware of what knowledge can do. Knowledge actually drives processes. And that is why we believe so strongly that it's good for us to keep pushing out this information out there so that we can mobilize action for change. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ubina. Knowledge that's needed, what's needed. Now, we will move to the fishbowl session. And the way this goes is that I'll invite, so we have one chair for the virtual fish. All of you who are with us online, please shout out when you want to participate, or make a signal to the technicians, and they will let me know that you'd like to intervene. I think, and then I would like three of you. Henrik, you'll be seated for the time being, but you will not be sitting there the whole time, because the idea is you come in and sit down, and only the people in the middle and the virtual fish will be speaking. We're all listening to you. You may have answers, questions to each other for a while. Then you will move out again one by one, and new people will come in. And we will have a dialogue on this experience on water, data, information, knowledge in the water space. So I'd like three of you to please join the inner circle. It's not dangerous. And I'm sure also there may be questions that you'd like to start with to all our distinguished panelists. And there's one microphone. Maybe, Henrik, if you like to keep this. This will be the inner circle microphone, and I'll keep my moderator microphone with me. But if there's someone who'd like to ask a question, please come in the circle first, and then present yourself. Thank you for joining. Yes, then we have the virtual fish right here. So it's filled. Now the circle is filled. Please.
Yes, I'm Kevin Wheeler from University of Oxford. I've been working on Nile issues for about 12, 15 years, something like that now. And I have to say, in terms of knowledge and data sharing, it's just gotten worse in the last 15 years. Things were more available when I first started getting into it than there is now. It's still impossible to get any data on the Nile, and I'm not talking about PDFs. We can always get those, but real data. And that's what people actually care about. That's what researchers care about. I work with the universities all across the Nile Basin, and they're incredibly frustrated on how difficult it is to actually get data still. And millions of dollars have been poured into the DSS, which is basically considered a failure at this point. Nobody uses it. Very few people use the DSS in the Nile Basin. So I'd like some responses from that about sort of where does the basin go? Where does DHI has been one of the major developers of it, but nobody uses it. I mean, a handful of people, but hardly at all. And so, I mean, whether it's the Nile Basin Initiative, whether it's the Egyptian Water Ministry, the different country ministries, information is still not available. And there's been talk after talk for my last 12, 15 years about data sharing, and it's not there. It's not happening. So.
Thank you. Let's start with a few more questions.
Okay. My name is Simon Mukhtari. I'm from Kenya. I work for an organization. But I'm hearing what Kelvin is saying about data. I'm just also getting into the space, and so I hear it's 12 years now, been a struggle, because I work with also the Kenyan Authority, where also the data is also a problem. And yeah, I've heard about the DHI and the softwares that they're using, and I think it's a challenge. Yeah, but for me, I'm also helping to implement a project at the moment, still for the Water Resource Authority, and data and knowledge management is also part of the key things that we are doing. And we also work with Egerton University. I don't know if it's one of the university in the Nile Initiative, Nile Initiative. But also now we realize also there's still a gap of knowledge sharing, and also now we are also designing and discussing to design a hub. And it's interesting, so this concept of a hub of hubs, and so for me it was interesting also to come and learn also how this is integrating. I saw Congo, I saw Dakar, and I believe, maybe I missed it, but the hub of hub is bringing all people together. I don't know, well, that's actually interesting, because also the platform we are developing is a knowledge exchange platform on IWRM in Kenya. Also similar things that I've seen, bringing and sharing knowledge for IWRM publications, and also a space where experts can interact with one another. So I think that is cool. For me, I was interested also to know how we can team up with a hub of hub, even AMCOW. I'm not so sure who is the minister in charge of Kenya for like the reporting in the AMCOW, what was it, WASMO, because it will be interesting also, because we have been discussing with one of the ministers about our platform and using it as a tool also to collect SDG monitoring, and probably this could also be teamed and cooperated together. So yeah, just to say, cut it short, cool hub of hub, but also want to learn more also how we can be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, all. My name is Laurent Charles, and I work at the Global Water Partnership on the IWRM Action Hub. So I'm very used to these kind of conversations and the conundrum of hub of hubs. One thing that comes to my mind, and I've been told this, I think, at the UN Water Conference, is that knowledge platforms are actually like toothbrushes. So everyone likes to have their own, and no one wants to share. There are multitudes out there. And the question is, indeed, how do we connect them? I really like the intervention of David on open social, on the fact that actually instead of institutionalizing a lot of the knowledge platforms that we have, we should think of knowledge co-creation and sort of bottom up and user-driven information. So communities of practice, these kind of more interactive knowledge platforms are existing. So perhaps I guess a question for you all is actually when it comes to the hub of hubs, isn't LinkedIn the hub of hub for information where it's a one-stop shop and you have from different organizations from all across the world, papers, new data sets that are coming in. Isn't that the place where we should all go for information and data exchange on water?
Okay, we have 3 very interesting questions. Nile Basin DSS, the Kenya water platform information system, and the LinkedIn hub of hubs. Maybe Henrik, you would like to make a comment on the NBI DSS.
Partly because I'm not sufficiently familiar with the actual status and functioning of the the Nile Basin DSS. Some of my colleagues are, but they're not here. But I know that we are currently in discussions with the Nile Basin Initiative on an updated version of the system. I don't know if that is the real problem behind what you're saying, because I could imagine that it's not only a technical issue of the functioning of the DSS. It's also, and I know that from my own experience, also in building WASMO, it's about confidentiality of data. And sometimes countries are very concerned about releasing data. Funny story from development of WASMO is that from the outset, and that was specified as part of the design, we were trying to promote openness and transparency, release of all raw data that went into the system. In the design phase, countries said, no, there's some confidential data here. We don't want to release those, so only the calculated, computed indicator values at top level should be accessible to anyone. Then during trials, during workshop, in the design phase, we had some examples that gave rise to discussions among why did you come at this result? Well, we can't tell you, we said, because you asked us to keep the raw data confidential, and they realized, no, it's not working that way. We can't use the data, so they agreed to open up, and now all that's in that platform is accessible. Any data that goes in can be seen by anyone. So that's an example of sometimes confidentiality issues, sometimes misconceived, sometimes real maybe, may also constrain the use of such platforms. That was one question. You asked about the ministry, which ministry in Kenya is responsible for WASMO. It's the Ministry of Water Resources and Energy, I think. Yes, it's the WASMO focal point that's responsible.
Anyone online for the LinkedIn suggestion? Or in the room, but then you have to come and sit in the middle if you want to speak. Yes, please. And maybe Henrik, you leave. Yes, thank you, Henrik, for your interventions. Please. That's okay. We'll have one more chair here for the online. On the LinkedIn question, please
Not to say
let us know what.
My name's Katie Bailey. I'm a communications and knowledge management manager for the Water and Energy for Food Grand Challenge. So we work with SMEs to help them scale their businesses. So not to 100% disagree with the idea that LinkedIn is a good platform for knowledge sharing, but I think then you also run into the verifying of what people say. LinkedIn, as you know, it's an open platform, but it's a social media platform, which means that you have the potential to have bots on there. You have the potential for people to be pushing an agenda, which everybody has an agenda. But there's also the opportunity for misinformation to easily develop and spread there. And it's the same thing when you look at the groups that exist on LinkedIn. Everybody wants their own. Everybody wants to control their own. So there are those big, useful sharing groups like, the climate change professionals group or the MEL professionals group. Those are great. Those are really useful, but you really have to be careful about what's being said and what's being shared, because it's not a monitored platform like the other ones that are being discussed, where, what was it for the WASHMA one, where there's someone specific who's contributing data, like how do you verify and how do you make sure that it's not going to contribute to a decrease in value or worse off information.
Good.
Louise?
Yes.
Dave here, hi.
David.
I just want to respond to the LinkedIn question a little bit. Obviously, we've struggled with that because it is attractive because it's there, it's well managed, it's corporate, it's got all these good things in terms of sustainability. The one word I would throw out there, which stops us really using it, is trust. We're talking to, for example, managing directors of water utilities. They will only really contribute to a dialogue if they know who they're talking to, and there's a trusted. So it's much more ring fenced, I think, for the kind of dialogue we want to get to, than a platform like your speaker just mentioned, which is much more out there and broader. So I think that's why things like Open Social have delivered for us, where LinkedIn, I don't imagine they would have collaborated in the same way on that. So I think LinkedIn has a huge role to play, and we're commonly looking at it for events, for example, for new people, to check people's biographies and so on. But in terms of the dialogue, I don't think it's a safe enough space, frankly. Back to you.
Thank you, David. Any more ones online who would like to say a few words? No, please. We have a new fish in the fish bowl.
Louis.
Oh, yes, Ubina, sorry.
Yes, I wanted to try to respond to some of the things that were asked at the fish bowl. Okay, someone had mentioned that why is data not available? Especially, he gave an example with the NBI DSS. The issue, like has been mentioned, is that people like to preserve or hide data because sometimes these data don't come out. It's just like when you are failing in your assignment and the data shows that you're failing, you want to be the first to see your failed results before anyone else. So transparency isn't there, and sometimes people try not to be accountable. But then they forget that behind every data, there is lesson to learn. The reason why we develop data is we collect data is because we want to learn, want to know what's going on well and what's not going on well. And that is why you have to be open so that you can get suggestions from other places. So, but then also another key item there is because most times these data are developed and kept somewhere, stored somewhere in a repository, and people are not adequately connected to what has been developed. So it still boils down to the issue of connecting people. The data is for the people, the data is developed by the people, the data has to be used by the people, and the data has to be interpreted for the people to be able to use them. Then someone talked about how to be connected to the Knowledge Hub. Luis, you can provide them the right contact, and they will reach out to us after the session. And then the other person who mentioned LinkedIn also said that is the hub of hubs, not the place to go. Yes, it is the place to go. And the reasons are very clear. Thanks for some of the colleagues who have mentioned some of the reasons. But also, you know that it's not every information you have about your organization that you can contain in LinkedIn. Those are places where you just drop some nuggets, but the real whole gist you can find in your own repository, just like the Knowledge Hub. So I think that's what I want to say about that.
Thank you, Ubina. We have one last fish before I will give the final word to Dr. Tahini to do a wrap-up of the session. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. I am Kiitumeti Tsubane, and I am from Lesotho, in a GIZ office situated there. So I work around issues of data governance and innovation. So this is quite an interesting conversation that we're having. So, and thank you very much, Obina, for introducing the whole Hub of Hubs. My question and maybe suggestion is around how does it look? Because already if you're saying only 11 countries responded to a survey and still you have intentions of building a Hub of Hubs, what does that translate to? And how are we intending to actually address or talk to those countries that did not respond? My thinking is, being from Lesotho, already as a country, we have an issue of just information and data within the member state itself. So what measures are there to ensure that the member states themselves, before they get out, they sort their house in country? Because I was thinking, we report to the SDG 6 and stuff like that. How are we going to correlate the reporting of maybe from SDG 6, 6.3.1? How do we make sure that we don't always ask countries or member states to report on stuff? Maybe just in the format in which we report, we can already take information from the reporting of some SDGs to talk to the indicators that the Hub of Hubs is intending to do. And maybe a sharing of a bit of experience from my line of work is, you talked about how then do people really, like the Nile River, it's hard for you to get data. We had a similar situation when we started our program, is on integrated catchment management, and realized that we can never talk about water without talking about soils. Then no soils without talking about our grasslands. And it took us 2 years to just try gather data on planning on which are the hotspots in where we can work in the country. And I realized that it was the issue of trust. It was more of, you are a project, government of Germany is funding you, why are you taking our data to? Because experience was that in some other projects that came into the country, data was taken out of the country and never gotten back, raw data, because somebody else was given money to run a program and they went out of the field, and now a platform that they built, the country itself does not have access to anymore, because in the contracting, that was not clarified that, okay, company A from the Netherlands has to give the rights back. So there's an issue of trust that we are facing that we're trying to build on. But I think for the past 2 years, we had conversations with each and every person that is a technical expertise in a ministry from water, environment, forestry range, and asked them, what is it that is wrong with sharing data? They told what it is, and then we tried to go through the process. So now we have a platform that is functional, but it's really on just land cover, because we thought water without land cover also is not point because of the kind of project that we have. So we have a land cover dashboard that is on Google Earth Engine, and it is the technical people in the different ministries. We have about 30 people that have been capacitated and are updating that as and when they want. But the grantee that was given an opportunity to start that up has gone, has left. The grant is done. But capacity is in country, and now if you want data around any of those things that we do, you can find it easily. So I think it's the issue of building relationships and also trust, because people have had bad experiences with that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your very, very interesting and important inputs, which we'll be taking into this next process of Hub of Hubs. And we are ending the session, but before we end, I would like Dr. Tahini to say the final word. I think we have 1 or 2 minutes more. Two minutes. Dr. Tahini, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Louise. It will be maybe less than 2 minutes. I'd like here to say that I was very excited to follow this session and to exchange of experiences and know more about the SADC, South Africa, the Senegal, the Congo Basin, and the inspiring insights to be extended to other areas. It is clear that all over the continent, there's a lot of indigenous knowledge that we need to collect and to share and to benefit from. And this is the main reason why AMCOW Secretariat is mobilizing efforts in order to make this hub of hubs. As a water engineer, I believe that we cannot do much without the right knowledge. Right knowledge leads to the right decision. So while we continue to promote the benefits of knowledge, our next step will include strengthen and attracting relevant partnerships for the Knowledge Hub of Hubs to build country-specific knowledge and strategies and a continental agenda training our focal persons properly. Actually having focal persons from Africa in the knowledge transfer is very important, and combining their skills as water professional with that is very, very important as well. I'd like to appreciate at the end the effort of DHI, especially for you, Louise and Henrik, for the efforts. I'd like also to thank Dr. David Gray and all the representatives of the Congo Basin, the Senegal Basin, and South Africa. And also I'd like to thank Codecraft and last but not the least, the AMCOW Secretariat, Obina in person, for the efforts in making this session happen. It's a start, it will not be an end. And also Mr. Chimanga, Professor Chimanga, of course, thank you very much for sharing with us all the experiences. This is a start, it's not an end. We will meet again, physically or online, to build up on what we have already achieved and to continue our journey in the knowledge transfer and the knowledge hub of hubs. Mr. Chidiki, also, thank you very much. And at the end, I don't want to take from your precious time. I know that we have to move very quickly. So thank you very much. And until we meet again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tahini. And thank you to all of you for coming today. This will be continued. I think the next venue for this kind of conversation in the big public will be the Africa Water Week, Cairo Water Week in October. So stay tuned and please come and see me, and I'll give you contact information of Ubina, and if you have any more questions, and I'll speak more with you about Nile Basin. But thank you so much for your engagement and for all your questions, and we'll keep in touch.